高兴哦，就是事实上我应该算是第二次，比较 officially this is second time. We invite Professor Takada to give us the seminar, and we all know that Professor Takada originally his research interest is in integrin, and he actually is a person who find integrin beta integrin. So, and also he also later on developed several molecular cloning alpha 1, 2, 3. So actually we all know that integrin is a very important receptor. Mediate the signal from extracellular matrix to the intracellular cytoskeleton, and also regulate many different signaling. And we all know that Professor Takada is mainly interested in study integrin regulate integrin and the chemokine cytokine interaction. So actually he finds out during for the interaction he can develop so-called integrin receptor antagonist as a dominant negative regulator to regulate the integrin chemokine interaction, and also regulate the downstream signaling. So today we are very happy to invite Professor Takada again to give us an update of his research. And today his topic is integrin chemokine crosstalk. Let's welcome Professor Takada.
Do you have this? Oh, thank you, Vivian. You said all. So, this topic, I'm working on integrin cytokine chemokine growth factor crosstalk, but I never talked about the chemokine before. So this is the first time I talk about the chemokine integrin crosstalk. So I'm not really sure I can give you a clear message, explaining this topic in time. So, but please be patient. Okay. So I start from integrin. General introduction about integrin. So integrin is a alpha beta heterodimer on the cell surface. And most of the 90% is outside, and then alpha and beta are subunits. And both subunits are multi-domain proteins, many domains. But the top portion here has a RGD motif in crystal structure. Then supposed to be ligand binding site. So integrin is a heterodimer, and then currently 18 alpha and 8 beta have been identified, and then altogether 25, at least 25 heterodimers are known. So each heterodimers, I don't expect you to see this, but you can see this. But many different ligands interact with individual receptors. Okay, so this receptor ligand include extracellular domain protein, ECM ligand, and also cell surface molecules like ICAM, VCAM, and also several soluble proteins like growth factors. So we didn't understand until recently what's the meaning of growth factor, binding to integrins. So that's why we started. Okay. So the method that we are using is we used is docking simulation. Then using integrin ligand binding site as a target, and then put that in computer, and then randomly pick up a structure like cytokine growth factor from a database and let them interact in the computer. So I didn't know at the beginning growth factor binds to integrin, but so randomly a small molecule, basically. Then we found that many growth factors actually bind to integrins. Okay, so then we kind of prioritized. Then so we started, to look at the actual binding of important potential ligand. Most of them are growth factors binding to integrins. How they bind? What the meaning of that? So today I will focus on chemokine, left-hand side bottom. Chemokine CX3CL1, it's called fractalkine. So we found that chemokine, fractalkine bind very well to integrins. So based on docking energy of this simulation. And then, so this simulation actually predicts how they interact and what the importance of which residue, amino acid residue of chemokines are involved in the interaction and so forth. As in This one, yes. So how they interact. So using this information, we can analyze interaction in more detail. So basically, chemokine, this is the general function of chemokine. And then chemokines are involved in many important interactions that include integrins. And then leukocyte chemotaxis, for example, is a soluble chemokine. The cell recognizes gradient of chemokine concentration. And at the leading edge, chemokine receptors interact with chemokines, and the cell migrate towards chemokine gradient. Also, another important function is that leukocyte endothelial interaction. So when leukocyte get out of cell, blood vessel, leukocyte have to bind to interact with endothelium. So in that case, chemokine play an important role to, on the surface of chemokine, endothelial cells. Chemokine activate the chemokine receptor, and then as a result, integrins are activated. That's the kind of hypothesis. Okay. So this is a kind of a more detailed interaction. So leukocyte role, on the surface of endothelium. So role, this is based on selectin receptor interaction, kind of very loose interaction. But once chemokines are involved, chemokine interact with chemokine receptor on the surface of leukocyte, and that activates integrin through signaling inside cells. So this is a current model. Okay. Then leukocyte, activated leukocyte interact with cell surface molecule like ICAM or VCAM, and that cells are kind of attached, firmly attached to endothelium. Then leukocyte get out of blood vessels through blood vessel, blood vessel surface. Okay, so in this talk, I'm talking about fractalkine. What is fractalkine? The fractalkine is a very unique chemokine that has the membrane bound. The chemokine, regular chemokine, more than 50 chemokines are known. most of them are soluble chemokine. The fractal kind is a transmembranous form chemokine. And then this is shed from the surface through protease. The current model is a fractal kind binds to fractal kind receptor on the surface of the chemokine, leukocyte, and that activates integrins. Okay. So we found that in this talk, integrin directly interacts with chemokine, fractal kind. So fractal kind binds to directly to integrins, and this is a very important function. And then also fractal kind bind to fractal kind receptor and the integrin at the same time. So that is what I'm trying to talk. Okay. So again, this is before fractal kind is found. So soluble chemokine is important for leukocyte trafficking here, going through. Then after fractal kind is found, 2004, fractal kind mediated this function, very important function. So then we found fractal kind binds to integrin. So I think this is I think it's a new direction. So first of all, go back to the docking simulation. We found that fractal kind actually binds to integrins. And then this was 2004, fractal kind was found. But at that time, fractal kind was told that fractal kind does not require integrins for signal transduction. But actually does. So this binding is very strong. Actually, KD, KD is about 1.-8. But this number is when integrins are inactivated. When chemokine integrins are activated by using magnesium, that goes up to 10 to the 10th. It's very, very high affinity interaction. Okay. Then I skipped this figure, but this is actually saying that this chemokine actually binds to integrin very well, soluble integrin very well, and also cell surface integrins very well. Okay. So then what we did is that what's the function of chemokine integrin interaction? So we, based on the docking model, we generated a mutant fractal kind that cannot bind to integrin anymore. So we found that lysine 36 and arginine 37. So that's the previous slides. Here. So that 36 and 37 is in interface. Is an interface with integrin. So based on this model, we generated integrin binding defective mutant of this one. But this mutant is very defective in integrin binding, but still bind to receptor very well. So this is a so-called cool-down assay. And cell lysate was incubated with integrin, wild type or mutant chemokine, and then chemokine that binds to integrin was recovered. Then here, so receptor is here. So that means this mutant or wild type chemokine can bind to receptor very well, although they don't bind to integrin. Kind of interesting mutant. So what's the phenotype? So this is, again, we mapped the binding site of the chemokine, where they bind. So they bind to this structure. It's called specificity loop here. So this is kind of part of a regular ligand binding site. So chemokine fractal kind is looks like a regular integrin ligand. Okay. But also we found that docking integrin that used for docking simulation was integrin alpha b beta 3. So this is alpha 4 beta 1. So we found that this chemokine also binds to alpha 4 beta 1. Why alpha 4 beta 1 is important? Because alpha 4 beta 1 is primarily in the immune system, competent cells. So leukocyte express a lot of alpha 4 beta 1 or T cells. So that I think is very important. So what we say is we found the fractalkine not only binds to fractalkine receptor, that also binds to integrin. So when integrin fractalkine receptor is not there, this fractalkine only binds to integrin. But this is monocytic cells, leukemia cells, and then when both CX3, CR1 receptor and the integrins are present, they both make a complex structure. I think that is interpretation. So over here, we did if we can make a complex structure biochemically, we can show complex structure. So we incubated U937 cells with wild type mutant chemokine, and then purify integrin alpha 4 or beta 3. Then we detected this receptor using Western blotting. So only wild type chemokine can detect precipitate receptor, right? So that means wild type can make complex integrin chemokine receptor complex, but a mutant cannot. So this ternary complex formation is very common to other growth factors we found. We found before, and I talked about before. So almost the same mechanism is working for integrins. So difference is that other cytokine IgA4, FGF, I talked about them before, is receptor tyrosine kinase. But in this case, this receptor is a GPCR, G protein coupled receptor. So that means not only receptor tyrosine kinase, GPCR also make a complex with the integrin, and then chemokine receptor, chemokines. So that I think is a pretty new model. And then okay, so then importance. This is kind of important slide. And then what's the phenotype of this mutant? So this mutant can bind to receptor CX3CR1, but cannot bind to integrin, and they cannot make ternary complex. What happens? So in this case, model is like this. Our model. Okay. Fractalkine binds to CX3 receptor and then integrin complex, right? Now, if fractalkine cannot bind to receptor integrin, what happens? So we did this is a kind of integrin activation as a target, downstream target of fractalkine function. So fractalkine is expected to activate integrin in monocytic cells by kind of signaling pathway we know, but a mutant cannot activate. This is activation. So we measured integrin activation using fluorescently labeled ligand. So we incubate cells with a fluorescently labeled ligand, for example, ligand, for example, fibronectin fragment or fractalkine, fibronectin fragment or so forth. they binding increase with fractal kind concentration. So the kind of flow cytometry shift, we can see the shift here. Okay, so we brought this, but the mutant cannot do it. But however, mutant is added to wild type. What happens is that with a mutant, dependent on the dose dependently, mutant can suppress wild type's function integrin binding induced by wild type. So this is so-called dominant negative. So this mutant is not only defective, but also the dominant negative. Okay. So this slide, this is if we can see dominant negative effect of fractal kind chemokine domain in vivo. So we used this peritonitis model, thioglycolate induced peritonitis model. Actually, we got help from Dr. Futon Liu's next door. So his technician, Lan Yu helped in this study. So we inject this mutant 3 hours before injection of thioglycolate. Then 48 hours later, we took, not ascites, but leukocyte from peritonitis cavity using media, injecting media, and took leukocyte on the count. This is total count. So fractal kind can slightly induce leukocyte itself, but mutant fractal kind can suppress leukocyte recruitment to peritonitis. Okay. 20 times, leukocyte is defective in inducing this one. Also, mutant, 20 times the excess mutant can suppress leukocyte recruitment. Also, this is a kind of, this is total, but this is monocyte. After 48 hours, monocyte is the majority of the leukocyte in peritoneal cavity. So we do the same thing, 20 times more mutant can suppress one. So now, so after several years, we didn't do too much about this, but recently we are discussing with Dr. Futon Liu, the academician, to continue this, test this dominant negative fractal kind in atopic dermatitis model. Okay. So fractal kind is important in mediator of skin inflammation, chronic and acute skin inflammation. Okay. So we will test if this really block chronic and acute inflammation in mouse model. That's our current status. Yeah. So okay. So go back to leukocyte recruitment. So our data suggests that the integrin not only involved in direct endothelial cell leukocyte interaction, but more widely, broadly, through the fractal kind signal. After this is a book published 3 years ago. So we think this will be generally accepted to the field, but I don't think so. It will take good time. Okay. So I told about this, kind of decoy fractal kind. So actually, we now found we are working on SDF1. SDF1 is a chemokine that is also important for stem cell recruitment. So we think that same thing will happen in SDF1 as well. Okay. So this is the second part of the talk. So during this part one in a previous work, so we found that a very funny thing happened, unexpected thing happens. This is also expected from the simulation. Okay, so current model is that fractal kind binds to CX3CR1 receptor and the inside-out signaling. This is called inside-out signaling. Signaling goes through this one and the integrin is activated. Also in that process, of course, the integrin, as I said, the integrin have to bind and make complex. Okay. Okay. So what we found is that fractal kind directly activate integrin. Kind of a very unusual finding. So don't need a receptor. Okay. So what is the first observation is here? So we took soluble integrin alpha V beta 3, no transmembrane nothing. So pure protein, and then in the test tube. Now no receptor, no cells, cell-free system. Then we added chemokine here. Chemokine in the presence of chemokine and the absence of chemokine. In the absence of chemokine, nothing happens because we added calcium to totally inactivate integrin here. But if we add a chemokine, that ligand binding enhanced. How do we measure this? So we mobilize wells, plastic well with a ligand, and then on top we add a soluble integrin in solution, and then fractal kind in solution. So fractal kind in solution binds to soluble integrin, and that binds to the bottom. Okay, we measure the binding. So this is clearly kind of unexpected, but predicted from simulation. Okay. The same thing happens. So this is a different ligand, and then this is different ligand, and also this is kind of opposite. So fractal kind is as a function of fractal kind concentration. Same thing happens. Basically, same cell-free condition. Actually, we found that the same phenomenon thing happens even when alpha V beta 3 integrin is expressed on the cell surface. So we kind of skip this kind of complicated. But we can measure ligand binding, fluorescently ligand binding using flow cytometry. So binding is measured as a shift of the signal to right. Okay. So same thing happens on the cell surface. So then what is going on? What's the mechanism? So if fractal kind and then ligand, so suppose integrin has just one binding site, and then ligand and the fractal kind bind at the same site, they are supposed to compete, right? So supposed to reduce binding, but actually not. So we predicted, hypothesized that there's another ligand binding site. They are binding to two different binding sites. Then the hypothesis is that if this is an allosteric activation, so this allosteric binding site should be open when integrins are inactive. So we use the inactive form of integrin. This is a previously published active form, part one. This is using a simulation using inactive form of integrin. And then what happens is that the fractal kind binds to different sites. Kind of complicated. So this is the same integrin here, integrin alpha, beta. And then when active, this is active binding site is here, but when inactive binding site is here. So computer program identified a new binding site. Actually, integrin is has two looks like a binding site, two concave structure, on two sides of the molecule. So we found this one, and also when they are superposed like this. So here, RGD binding site is here, and then new site is here. So So we call this cyto2. Okay. So how can we prove this cyto2 is really present, and then also this ligand bind to cyto2? So we made a peptide from cyto2, and then tested if this cyto2 peptide binds to ligand. Okay, so that's the next. So what we found is that this cyto2 ligand peptide from integrin beta 3 bound to fractalkine very well. This is that's a GST fusion, so GST pairing. And actually this peptide can pull down fractalkine here. This is control, pull down. Okay, and then so we tested different beta 1, beta 3, beta 4. So beta 3 is the best. Beta 3 cyto2 peptide is the best. This is alignment here. So 4 different betas has a common, very similar sequence. But beta 3 is the best for fractalkine. And actually, more importantly, this peptide can suppress integrin activation by fractalkine here. Suppress. So that means peptide actually bind to the ligand and then competitively suppress integrin activation. That means this ligand actually bind to cyto2, new binding site, and then actually that binding is important for integrin activation. So that's I think is a message here. Okay. So this is again we tested a different integrin alpha 4 beta 1. So same thing happens. So this peptide binds to suppress alpha 4 binding ligand binding here. Repetition. So model is that the conclusion is that this is a receptor dependent binding. So when the receptor is present, this will happen, but at the same time, fractalkine can directly activate the integrin. So this is important because this receptor expression is kind of limited. Certain leukocyte cell types. So most of the cells don't have this one. So we cannot now ignore effect of this fractalkine, this chemokine, even if receptor is not present. I think some important biological information here. Yeah. Okay, so what we found next is that cyto2 mediated allosteric integrin activation is not limited to fractalkine. So we found that phospholipase, secreted phospholipase A2 also activate integrins in allosteric manner. And then this is also, cyto2 is important because cyto2 peptide also bind to this ligand. So this is a very, very established pro-inflammatory protein, originally identified in leukocyte, rheumatoid arthritis patient, fluid, very high affinity. So I think that is very important, probably important. Okay, so same thing happens. This phospholipase A2 also bind, simulation predictor lipase A2 binds to, this and this, cyto1, cyto2, and then 2 sites here. Okay, and also, what is this? I don't know. So I was surprised. Okay. So based from starting from this one, we develop project and discovered some biologically important bindings. Okay. So what is it? So this is a slide is I think is important because so there is a two binding site, right? We predict two binding site, and then how can we say there is two binding sites? So what happens if there is two binding sites? So review of the paper asks a question. So we know the answer. So this is the answer. If there is two binding sites, and then when integrins are inactive, only site 2 is open, as I said, and site 1 is kind of closed, right? This is by definition two binding sites, but only allosteric site is open. So when so we tested the increasing concentration of PLA2 on the ligand binding, okay, fluorescent ligand binding. So when this is a kind of go up and down. So this is a very strong evidence that there is two bindings. So when integrins are inactive, site 2 is the original primary binding site of the ligand. To activate site 1. So integrin is activated, but at some point, site 2 is saturated, right? And then this ligand also binds to site 1. So this ligand or activator started to compete with the other ligand for binding to site 1. So that's why this goes down with as this increase. So we observe this phenomenon in many other this allosteric integrin ligand. I don't show you today, but we have other examples, many other examples, several other, not many. So this clearly indicates that there is two binding sites, and then this binding site is activation is really happening here. This is actual reading of this flow cytometry. Okay, so this is I think 40 minutes. So this is other question, new questions that probably I can show you next time in the future. Thank you.
So, any questions?
Dr. Takada, very nice talk. Just wondering that since we know that alpha V beta 3 actually they are targeted to the visual nectin during the the extracellular matrix binding. So once the fructokines binds to the integrin alpha V beta 3, it will block the binding of the integrin alpha V beta 3 with the visual nectin. Would that be happen?
Yeah. So depend on the concentration, as I said on the last slide.
So that's the regulation of the site 1 and site 2.
Yeah. So we have to kind of titrate the concentration very carefully, and then require very low concentration. If you add much higher than that one, you can only see suppression. So you have to titrate, at a very low concentration. It's a very low concentration. No, I didn't show you.
Okay. Say if we are in an area with the inflammation. Okay, we have a tissue or organ that have inflammation. So the signal released to the bloodstream. So with the long distance far away, they may sense in the signal, but this signal is the fructokine is very low concentration. So at that time, they will bind to the site 2, right? Then once they goes to the area of the organ with the inflammation, then they'll have a higher concentration of the fructokines. then fructokines will bind to not only just site 2 but also site 1?
Yeah, so fructokine binds to site 2 and site 1.
Right.
Originally. So we can clearly show separately, right? And then also, some soluble fructokine are available, shed form. The situation is kind of complicated. So so this concentration we show for the experiment is pretty high, microgram per ml, or just below 1 microgram per ml. So somebody said, hey, it's too high, or biological sense. But actually, fructokine can bind to receptor first, and then that can concentrate, enhance the concentration of fructokine, even it's soluble, on the surface. So then it's realistically integrin can bind. So this interaction can activate receptor-mediated signal, also at the same time can activate the integrin. And the situation is more complicated. But in the case of fructokine, most of them are membrane bound, so pretty concentrated on the cell surface.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because I always stand at the point of the cancer biology. So in the alpha V beta 3 has been showing that in the angiogenesis tip, they have a high concentration of the alpha V beta 3. So the angiogenesis tip, the endothelial cells, they're always leading the direction of this angiogenesis, goes to whale. So I just wondering that the fructokine will be able to doing this kind of the job as a chemokines traction, where the angiogenesis is going to be to whale. In that sense, during the cancer development, they have a higher hypoxic area. Do they have a higher of the fructokine and also induce higher of the angiogenesis because of the alpha V beta 3 expression? That is very complicated, I know.
Yeah, pretty complicated. So fructokine is also angiogenic, right? Angiogenic.
I don't know.
It's involved in angiogenesis as well.
Okay.
And then, so my point is that in vivo situation is so complicated. So I don't want to, get into detail because the situation is more complicated. More than one chemokines, and more than one ligand, and more than one integrins. But my point is that people have to include integrin chemokine interaction or fructokine interaction for the design of their experiment. Okay. You have to think about it first.
Okay.
And then include that, then we will be able to answer those questions. Okay. So very simple system. Fructokine can be activator or can be inhibitor of alpha beta 3 beta-lectin interaction. If you think that is the only scenario.
Professor Takata, are those two sites on for the fractin binding site in extracellular domain located? Where are those two sites located?
Probably your question is that extracellular domain, extracellular matrix protein bind to site 2 or site 1. So I didn't show you, in detail, but we know most of the ECM protein ligand site 1 ligand. And then a small ligand like fructokine or chemokines, and other small ligand can bind to site 2 and site 1 as well. Okay. So we there is a some specificity. Maybe partly because of the size of the ligand.
So the question is where is the site 2 located? In intracellular or toward intracellular or extracellular?
Extracellular domain.
It's
and
still
then,
on extracellular.
So alpha, beta here, and then if we look at this way, there's a kind of concave area. This is a site 1, RG binding site. Then you look at it this way, and then there's another site concave here, and the site 2. So they for example, chemokine, fractalkine bind like this, and also like that. So binding sites kind of overlap. So like this.
Thank you for your talk. And just wondering, did you compare any effect between the disintegrate and your dominant negative cytokine in the biological function?
What do you mean, disintegrate?
Because your dominant negative cytokine, for example, can bind to integrate.
Yeah.
And some
no, cannot bind.
Cannot bind.
Yeah, cannot bind.
Oh yeah. I mean, because distinctly also can disrupt the integrate function.
Right, yeah.
So, did you compare if your dominant negative cytokine, the effect of the dominant negative cytokine in the disintegrate, they have same effect on, for example, the inflammation cell adhesion or something like this?
No, we haven't compared. We didn't compare, but functionally they do the same, very similar things. So the disintegrin binds to integrin, right? They don't compete with chemokine, for example, or other ligand. So that kind of disrupt the integrin, ternary complex formation for probably. So I think it's the same thing. So probably functionally similar. Now, in that sense, I think many other known anti-angiogenic, proteins like angiostatin or endostatin, also they bind to integrin. So that's like a disintegrin. So probably work similarly.
Okay, so my question is, if use your dominant negative cytokine is more powerful than the disintegrin, or in your opinion?
I don't know. So so far, disintegrin works, right? Yeah. So, but we haven't shown that this mutant, dominant negative cytokine chemokine mutant works in vivo. So, but at least they are useful to identify the mechanism of the growth factor chemokine signaling. So that's why that is actually useful. So we plan to develop those chemokine or cytokine dominant negative mutant as a kind of potential drug. But I have no idea what happens in the future. But at least we know the mechanism. So I think that's the progress. How they broke. How they broke chemokine or growth factor signal. That I think is a positive aspect.
As you mentioned, we can decide chemokine antagonist by modeling this binding site. And do you have any suggestion or the criteria or the commercial available structure?
Antagonist?
Yes, antagonist.
You mean small molecule?
Yes. Or the big molecule.
I see. So tell me again. So you are trying to.
Is there any example for chemokine antagonist?
Yeah, some examples. Some examples. So
for example,
one example, fractalkine is a truncation of N-terminal.
peptide.
It's a protein similar to this one. Yeah, but truncation of several residues from N-terminus makes that chemokine antagonistic in many cases, but people don't really know why. So that I think is a problem. Then it's not really commercialized. Yeah, as far as I know. So people don't really know why it works. So that's a potential problem. But in our case, we know. So that's a small difference. But a small molecule, I don't know. I have no. There is no small molecule.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, following this question, actually, as you mentioned, the decoyed phytokine can be used as a therapeutic target to prevent the monocyte macrophage adhesion or migration. But in TG-induced model, as we know, monocyte macrophage are the main population of the immune cell. But as you mentioned in atopic dermatitis, I remember neutrophil can be also the major population. Have you checked this model in neutrophil?
Actually, no. So neutrophil, we just used 1 point, 48 hours in our model, in the peritonitis model. So for neutrophil, we have to use probably much earlier, time point we have to take, but we haven't.
More questions? So I think that this cytokine dominant negative antagonist may have a dual role. Can also not only regulate itself receptor signaling pattern, but also integrin signaling. So possibly it may be more effective than just this integrin. So, but still, we need to get more information and then understand the mechanism. Yeah. So, any more questions? Okay. Well, we very thank Professor Takada to give us excellent talk. Thank you.